Welcome to the History Veteran UK. Pretty much does what it says on the tin. So I hope you can all hear me. Today I'm at a blustery, cold, yet nice and sunny, clear blue skies in the town of Broadstairs, or precisely at Northumberland, just between Broadstairs and Kingsgate. So if you look over my right shoulder, you can see the Northumberland Lighthouse there, which in fact was the last manned lighthouse in the country. And if I'm shouting, it's because it's getting windy and I'm not sure whether you'll be able to hear me or not. So if I just pan round, we've got some guy down there doing a bit of surfing or paddle boarding. The ships there are lined up on the Margate roads, which is part of the Thames estuary. As I come round, we've got the wind farms in the distance. So Calais is roughly sort of over the Northumberland Lighthouse, which is there. So back in that direction would be Calais, down towards Dover and then out. The pan round a bit more, Northumberland Golf Course, and that is Kingsgate in that direction. The reason I'm here today, so during 1940, from July the 10th until October the 31st, the Battle of Britain took place. And on the 11th of August, 111 Squadron from Croydon set out to fly down to Hawkinge so they would be better prepared from there to attack any incoming aircraft. So I just want to leave that alone for a second. The following day, on the 12th, the Luftwaffe set out to systematically destroy the British airfields, RAF airfields in the south. The following day, on August the 13th, was Adlertag, Eagle Day. And that day, they set out and attacked Manston, Lyminge and Hawkinge airfields with the sole purpose of destroying as many aircraft on the ground, crushing the air bases and hopefully destroying the Air Force in the air. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for them as well as it should have done. Or sorry, as well as they wanted it to. And it didn't turn the tide because it still raged on for another couple of months. 3 months and 3 weeks. Now, depending on where you get your sources from, anywhere between 1,290, sort of 1,300, and 2,500 aircraft were lost during that period. So some of the information I've got is from information that was shared at the time, and some later. In fact, from the Hansard, which is, I suppose, the parliamentary diary, in May of 1947, they said 2,690 aircraft were lost during that period of the Battle of Britain. So let's go back to 111 Squadron, or the 111 as they were known. During August of 1940, they were to lose 11 aircraft, and they were flying Mark 1 Hurricanes at the time. And on the 11th, as I said, they were flying to Hawkinge, and they were diverted onto a raid of German bombers that were flying up the Thames estuary. There'd already been a raid that morning, and this was the second raid. So they engaged, and their fighter escort, the German bombers, was Me-109s and Bf-190s. So 2 pilots attacked the ME-109s from just over where we are now. So in fact 12 aircraft had set off, so they were all in this area in a dogfight against BF-109s and the ME-109s. The two pilots in particular over where we are now, and I'm just going to read from my notes because I want to make sure I get their names right. So as a pilot officer, Jack, I've got HH, but I'm pretty certain his middle names were Harry Hamilton Copeman. So pilot officer Jack Copeman. He was shot down by an ME-109. He was killed. They didn't find his body at first, and it was washed up on the Belgian coast on the 24th of August. So it was about 13 days later he'd been in the water. And he's buried at Middelkerk Communal Cemetery in Belgium. Middelkerk's just outside Ostend. The second pilot that was attacked and destroyed was pilot officer John Woffenden McKenzie, and he was South African. And himself and the aircraft were lost. And he's remembered at the Runnymede Memorial in Surrey, which is the RAF memorial. There is 20,050 names on that memorial. Now, two other pilots from the same squadron, just over Margate, which is about 2-3 miles down the coast, past Kingsgate. They were set on by BF-109s. Both aircraft were lost, both pilots were lost. And they were Pilot Officer Robert Roy Wilson, who was Canadian, and Sergeant Robert Black Sim. He was 23 years old. And Copeman, who I mentioned before, was 27 years old. But both McKenzie and Wilson were only 20 when they lost their lives. I would encourage you to just to look through how many aircraft were lost just in August. 260 aircraft. Not all the airmen, the aircrew were lost. I think that's probably about a 2/3 ratio. So around 180 airmen. And the memorial at Cape-le-Ferme, which is the Battle of Britain Memorial, lists all the names of not only those pilots that were killed, but those pilots that actually took part in the Battle of Britain. That's just one brief glimpse into 3 months and 3 weeks of fighting. As I said, one of the pilots was from Canada, the other was from South Africa. Robert Black Sim was a Scot, and Copeman, was English. But the two young pilots that travelled halfway across the world to fight in the RAF, it's hats off to them, basically. And as we approach Armistice and Remembrance Day on Sunday the 9th, I'll be doing another a small clip on the Royal Navy, and one on the Army and one on the Merchant Navy. I hope you're all wearing your poppies. Poppy season has started, and I look forward to seeing you again. If you do like my videos and you wish to subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.